Hello, everyone, and welcome to this new episode of my Solo Chronicles, exploring places outside of my comfort zone. And today I'm going to talk about when I went to a play by myself. And like I said, I don't mind doing stuff by myself. I really don't. But for some odd reason, to go to a play, I don't know, it just feels like it should be like a couple thing. You know what I'm saying? Or you're going with like a group of people. But this play I wanted to see, or I had been wanting to see for like ever since I lived in London. Because when I was in London for school for, like I said, that brief moment, this Broadway play had literally just came out, and it's called Six. And if you know anything about King Henry VIII and his six wives, and they were Catherine of Aragon, which he divorced, Anne Boleyn. Yikes, she was beheaded. And if I'm not mistaken, when you go to the Tower of London for the tour, you can, or just to walk around, you can actually see the spot. They have it marked off where she actually was beheaded. Then there was Jane Seymour. She died. Anne of Cleves, which he divorced. Boy, he really loved beheading people because his fifth wife, Catherine Howard, he beheaded her. But thank goodness, girlfriend Catherine Parr, she survived. So she got lucky out of the six wives. And I will say the only reason, well, from what I've read and done my research on, the only reason why she survived is because she actually convinced him that she was innocent of whatever it was he was accusing her of. And he just decided, okay, the death warrant that I issued on you, I'm actually going to let you live, and you survived. You will understand the title Six. And this play was literally about his six wives, but in their perspective of their time being the wife of this, to me, and it's just my opinion. Don't nobody come at me, but in my opinion, he was like a psycho and a spoiled brat. It's almost like if he didn't get his way, oh my gosh, he's gonna put a death warrant against you, and you're his wife. Make that make sense. But anyways, yeah, I have been wanting to see this play because it looked interesting when I was living in London, and I never got a chance to really go and see this play. So when I finally got the chance, I was like, okay, it's here in Los Angeles. I think it was in its first run in Los Angeles. And it was at the Pantages Theater, which, oh my goodness, y'all don't even have to go and see a play to go see the Pantages. Go to the Pantages Theater. That theater is absolutely beautiful on the inside. It's almost when you walk through the doors, it's like you're walking through old Hollywood. Yeah, that's what I felt like. I was like, oh my gosh, I was more mesmerized by just the design of the whole inside than I was of the play. But anyway, that's for a whole nother podcast story. So yeah, so I wanted to go and see this play, and as usual, there was a nobody that wanted to like go with me. So I bought my ticket at the spare, just on a whim, at the spare of the moment. I'm at work and I'm sitting and I'm looking like for things to do for like this week. And this was like, I want to say last year. Last year is when I went to go see the play. So I'm looking, I'm sitting at work at the desk and I'm trying to figure out, okay, what is it I want to do? Because the weekend is coming up, blah, blah, blah. And I seen this, and I'm talking to a coworker, and I'm telling him about this play, and he's looking at me like, "Oh, who is King? King Henry VIII? I don't know nothing about him. What the play is about? Blah blah blah." So I'm like, "Dude, I think I'm gonna go and see this." And he was like, "I dare you to buy a ticket. There's no way you're gonna go there by yourself." And as soon as he said that, I said, "Bet, challenge accepted." And I pressed purchase and bought my ticket. So yeah, so once I bought my ticket, I was like, "Oh damn." In the back of my mind, I'm like, "Oh shoot. I can't like back out of this now because I literally just took on a bet to go to this play by myself." So I was like, "You know what? I'm going to go. Whatever. I'm not even afraid." And the day that it came to go, to this play, because what I did was I got a early ticket. The time that I picked was at 2. And if I'm not mistaken, also I think the play is like an hour and a half, and that's with intermission. I want to say it was like an hour and a half. So I get there, and of course I got there early because I haven't been down in that area of where the Pantages Theater is in years. I mean years. Even when I visited, I did do like the Hollywood Stars is over there. You can walk along the Hollywood Walk of Fame and everything like that. So I hadn't been over there in years. So I got there really early so that I can get like parking and just to walk around a little bit because like I said, I got there really early. So I get there. There was a few people that were lined up for the 2 o'clock, and I'm thinking, oh, this is great. It's a 2 o'clock start. It's probably not going to be that busy. I'm gonna go walk around, check out some stuff. So I walked around the area. I found Michael Jackson's star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, which I hadn't seen like forever. And it was just like, so I found his star. I was over there by the Chinese theater. I ended up walking over to the Capitol Records building because I've always seen it. Like, I want to say it's the 101 or the 110 expressway where you can actually see the Capitol Records building. And it's so unique because it literally looks like, and this is just my opinion, it looks like a stack of records, but it's an office building. So I went around there, and I after a while I said, okay, let me start to head back so that I can get in line because I'm pretty sure they're gonna be opening the doors pretty soon. I get back, and there was a line, and I mean a line, and I was like, it wasn't like I was gone for like an hour. I probably walked around for a good maybe 20 minutes, and I come back and there's a line, and I'm like, why is all these people here? It's almost 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But then again, it's like, okay, yeah, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, but look where you're at. You know what I'm saying? You're around like historical places like the Grammy Awards Museum, the Hollywood Walk of Fame. You're over by Capitol Records. So you got all these tourist attractions here. Of course it's gonna be crowded, April. So yeah. So I'm standing in line and I'm just gonna be honest, I think this was probably the first time that I actually felt a little nervous being there by myself because you saw, and I mean, I've seen it before and it never really affected me when I've done other stuff or traveled somewhere. But for some odd reason, this time was a little different. And the only thing I can surmise is that because I'm doing this type of activity for the first time, that I felt like kind of like a fish out of water. And I was just like, oh my gosh, you had people standing around talking. And I mean, we're talking about groups of people. It wasn't like two, three people together, which there were people like that. But I mean, this was like, you could tell it was just like groups of people that decided, okay, we're going to Los Angeles. While we're visiting, we're going to come and see this play or this musical, which that's what it is. It pretty much wasn't a musical. And so I'm standing in line and I'm like, okay, don't look awkward, don't be looking like you're weird and a weirdo. So yeah. So again, I will say, even though I do stuff by myself, I've been fortunate where I have met people just, standing around or just walking past or whatever. I have met people, and that forces me again. And I'm a talker. I love to talk to people, but there will be times, and there's not a lot of times where I get kind of shy and I get quiet. It's almost like I've become introverted. I'm so an extrovert, it's not even funny. So yeah, so I ended up standing in line in front of this lady and her daughter, and they were dropped off right in the front, which was a smart move because that prevented them from having to pay parking, which was like $25. That's a whole nother story in itself too. But anyways, so I'm standing in front of them, and the daughter made a comment, a funny comment, and I can't remember what it was. And I turned and I looked at her and I started laughing. And so that's how me, her, and her mom started just communicating, just talking about everything, talking about how excited we were to see this musical, what they were going to do for the rest of the day after the musical. I was telling them about me and how I had just moved from Michigan to California, and where I work and blah blah blah. So we just shoot the breeze before they open the doors for us to go in and find our seats or whatever. And so talking to them, and it started to make me feel at ease and like, okay, all right, now I'm back in my element where I'm this fierce woman and I'm not afraid to go and do things solo. So I was back in you know, that mode just because of this lady and her daughter. And they were great. They were so great. Her daughter was hilarious. Her daughter was probably like, I think like 15, 16. So, she was just so hilarious. I loved it. So we get inside, and, they were on the opposite side of the theater. Like they were on one side and then I was on another side. So we kind of parted ways and just to find our seats. And I will say with the Pantages Theater, there's not a bad seat in that theater because at first I was looking at tickets that were like on the floor level, but then I was able to get a ticket that was like, if you're facing the stage, I was on the right side of the stage, and it was almost like I could literally yell, "Hey girls," and they would hear me. That's just how close I was to the stage, even though I was up a ways. So, before they really let us go in and find our seats, um, it was like the bar was open so you can get snacks, you could get you something to drink, you could just mingle around until it was time to go in. And I actually got me something to drink. I got me a little snack, and I was just standing around and just taking in just the beautiful art of just the beautiful design of the Pantages Theater and the staircases that lead up to the stairs. Oh my goodness. Whew. I felt like I was in a movie, a old Hollywood movie, going up the stairs to meet my Prince Charming. Yep, I was in that moment. I was that girl. So, so, um, I go up once I came from the bar area, concession stand area, and I go over in a corner to, stand at this table just like I said, to wait until they start allowing us to go in to our seats. And everybody's mingling around, they're talking. You got families who were visiting family in Los Angeles, just talking and everything like that. And I ended up sharing this tiny little table with this couple who brung their two little ones. And their little ones were probably, I want to say maybe like, I think the little girl looked like she might have been like 7, and the little boy, he looked like he might have been about 9 or 10ish. So we ended up sharing tables and we're talking, and like I said again, just like I did with the mom and her daughter, everybody's just getting to know each other, and it was just fun. And then I felt at ease where, again, okay, I'm glad I did this. I don't feel like an oddball being there by myself. My seat was, when we finally went in, my seat was on the edge. I wanted to make sure I was like on the edge because I didn't want to get like stuck in the middle. And sometimes you can buy tickets, and if you get tickets like late, you might end up, and say you're in a group of like, I don't know, like 8 people. And I actually seen this at the theater too. There were a group that were together. They were actually separated. You had 3 people sitting in one row, you had the other people sitting in another row. So it was just like I made sure that the row that I sat in, there was only one seat available in that row for one person. And I really lucked up because I sat on the edge. My seat was on the edge, still had a great view of the stage. Yeah, so I sat next to this couple that were there with their daughter, and they kind of looked at me like, okay, she's here by herself. Who is she here with? And I'm just like, oh my God, because the husband kind of gave me a look, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, he's probably thinking, okay, she here by herself. We not gonna look at her and make her feel like an oddball. So it was just like I kind of just blew it off. Like, okay, you know what? I done already went over the hump of doing this by myself. So you know what? Whatever. You can stare all you want to. I don't care. But you know what the great thing about it was? I wasn't the only one that was there by themselves. There was a lady that was sitting in a row ahead of me, but her seat was in the center of her row. She was there by herself. So I didn't feel bad. And then there was somebody that was a couple of rows back, and I noticed them when they let us in, and we was all mingling around before we can go to our seats, and they were there by themselves. So I was like, okay, so I'm not the only one in here by myself, and that felt great. I will say the musical was absolutely fantastic because, like I said, you got a individual perspective from each of Henry VIII's wives that was hilarious. It was, I mean, you were laughing. At one point, you were crying. And you know what I loved about this musical too? And this is why I say, woman's power or women's power. The band that played the music for the whole entire musical were all freaking women. What? Yes. When I say this musical was a all female musical, it was all female musical. And each actress that were whether they were Anne Boleyn or Jane Seymour, they played their part and it was amazing. So that's what I love, that it was all female. It's just like nothing against you men, nothing against you men. But if you're going to do a play or a musical like Six, and it's based on a woman or women's perspective, why not have everything female? You know what I'm saying? I just had to put that in there. I don't want nobody to be like, oh my God, here she go with her woman's live thing. So yeah. But during intermission, so nobody really moves unless they seriously had to go to the bathroom. Everybody pretty much stayed in their seats. And it was almost like a meet and greet amongst the people, the other people that were there, because everybody was talking to each other, and it just made, if you were there by yourself, like myself and the two other people I talked about, you were made to feel like you were part of a group. And that was like the greatest thing ever. And I think that's what helped me really be able to, you know, check off my box that, oh, okay, I did this play. I went to this play by myself, and I'm not afraid to go to another musical again, honestly. I was just so blown away by everything that I had seen and experienced and the people I met. I knew from that moment, I said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and most likely, no doubt, do like another solo outing of going to another play or another musical. And there's been quite a few that have come to the Pantages Theater that I definitely want to go and see. Some of them, like the Michael Jackson musical, I believe that play is pretty much done because it was only running for like so long. And I just like the Six musical, it was only going for so long. So there's other musicals that I definitely want to see that are playing there. So yeah, so it was like I said, it started off, I literally started to go to like kind of create my own little shell of, oh my gosh, I can't do this. I literally started going into that form and I was like, wait a minute, that's not me. I'm like this fierce chick here. You know what I'm saying? When I need to go somewhere, I'm going to go. But like I said, I literally felt like I cannot believe I'm doing this. It's almost like I shocked myself. You know what I'm saying? It's like I literally shocked myself that I did this. Because not in a million years would I say, "Oh, I'm going to go and see a musical by myself." Nuh-uh. I would have never in a million years did that. But like I said, if it wasn't for my coworker, and I honestly do believe this, if it wasn't for my coworker saying, "Oh, I dare you to go and buy that ticket and go to this musical by yourself," I probably would have still been looking and looking and looking and said, "Oh, one day I'm gonna go." So I kind of thank him for like really like giving me a bet. So I ended up going to work because I was off. Like I said, I was off that weekend. So I ended up going to work like that Monday. And he comes up to me and he says, "So hey, did you lose your money because you didn't go and see that musical you was always bragging about?" And I said, "You know what, dude? I did go. I did go." And he looks at me and he was like, "You know what? You're my hero." He's an oddball, I swear, but I adore him. But he was like, "You're my hero. You actually did. You said you was going and you did go." And I was like, "Yeah, you know how much money I spent on those tickets? On that ticket, rather." And it was just like he asked me, he said, "How did you feel? Did you feel out of place? Was people staring at you and all this other stuff?" And I told him, I said, "Yeah, people did stare at me like, like because they knew I was there by myself. You know what I'm saying? So there was no hiding that." I said, and I did explain to him that in the beginning, I did feel like kind of weird, like, okay, maybe I kind of pushed myself a little bit too much to do this. But then I told him after I started talking to people and just really starting to feel comfortable, it was just like I didn't I stopped regretting actually doing it and actually going to this play. And he was like, "You know what? I'm not surprised it was you though." He was like, because just from the amount of time that he's known me, I've always talked about, "Oh, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that." And they'll say, "Well," or he'll ask me, "Oh, who you going with?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm going by myself." And so that's why he says he wasn't surprised that I actually ended up going. And it was just like, yeah, I mean, yeah, true enough, I didn't want to lose my money because it was getting too late. And like I said, I bought my ticket at on the spare of the moment. So I didn't want to lose my money. But it was just like when I talk about, exploring things outside of my comfort zone, to me, that was doing something outside of my comfort zone that I had never done before. So that again, I can check that off my list of, okay, I did this. And I've said it so many times before. My intention for not only this podcast, but just on things that I do, is to show people that you can do it. I did it. You might be afraid. And let me tell you, as I'm driving, I'm gripping the steering wheel like, "Oh my God, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this." I was afraid. You know what I'm saying? So it was just like, I actually was able to just do it, you know? And I want to encourage people just to get out and just do it, you know? And it was so odd because I've actually gone to like a restaurant or whatever by myself and sat and ate and just enjoyed myself, and I had my phone or I had a book or something like that, and that kind of didn't make me feel bad about being there by myself. But like I said, this going to this musical, because I really wanted to see it, it challenged me. It really, really challenged me. And I'm glad I took on that challenge because I'm going to take on the challenge. I'm telling you, I'm going to take on a challenge. I don't care. So, yeah. So that's it, my darlings. That is it for my adventure into going to a musical by myself that I actually achieved. So, yeah, so my next episode is going to be, I'm just going to say this. It's going to involve goats and yoga. Yeah. Good thing I enjoy yoga, but I like goats too. So, yes, so have a great rest of the day, my moonbeams. Talk to you later. Bye.